So we want to learn how to draw characters rotated, which it can be kind of tricky, right? So that you were taking a workshop yesterday with Garth Laidlaw, and you had started a character and decided, you started with sort of the face first, right? Just exploring different faces and shapes. Came up with one that you wanted to do. And once you decided what the front was, then deciding the side view, right? Mm-hmm. Which really, and that was a lot of exploration, wasn't it? You'd see a lot more erasing, like, because a lot of people sort of focus on front view, but it doesn't really tell us that much. And so that's one thing that we learned really well from Garth, that when we look at side view, we get a lot more sense of the stance of the character, you know, which tells us a lot about who are they, whether they're hunched over or something with their chest out. So it really, you know, gives a lot of information. And so there was a lot of searching, finding in that. And it was interesting to hear Garth's language, because I talk about searching, finding, refining, as far as observation goes. And that's sort of a term that, you know, either in more, I guess, observational drawing, we use it a lot in illustration for finding a drawing accurately. But when you're designing a character, you have to search and find, particularly that 3/4 view. That was challenging too. Now you did pretty good with your frontal 3/4. You didn't really seem to have to search too much on that one. But the back view, you can see that you really had to think more about perspective, didn't you? Mm-hmm. So it's a good exercise, but you know, you could see how easily Garth did it, and how great it looked, because he's had years of training, and how it's a bit awkward, right? Yeah. So it's great that you're exploring that, but one of the problems is that we don't really know what things look like. And so when you're new to character design, you haven't done a ton of figure drawing or drawing animals, it's hard to know how should that look. So one easy way to start to develop the ability to get these characters from different angles and have them look right is to use some models. Like, so that, you know, I found a figurine that's a little bit similar in stance and, you know, as close as I could get. Like, I'm not going to get your character. Yeah, of course. But, you know, and you could, you know, get some type of molding clay and, you know, do that, you know, that animation they do with claymation, you know, so you could mold a character and get to know what it is. And I think, you know, that's a cool idea to try, even once, just to get a real sense of the 3D quality of your character. And you know, if you're working on portfolio, you don't have time to be building your character, although you're going to take some time to build your skills, I guess, right? Yeah. Are you planning for this year or next?
For both, but again, I'm hoping more in the next one, but it's a trial now.
Well, so it's good. It's good to the experience and going through it, because then the next time it'd be that much more prepared, and you'll be able to see other things and just go through it, so it's going to be less nerve-wracking next time. So and I think that makes sense. I mean, from what I see, it looks like you still need time to just develop your skills. But I love how diligently you work. It's really great. So one thing we could do then is let's find a character or a pose of a figure that's sort of similar. So I found this at a thrift store, like, because I was thinking of your character, how it seemed female to be a little bit hunched over and kind of large features, right? Yeah. So at least if we find a figure that's a little bit similar, and then we can observe it, and then we could start to take that and then distort it, like her head's going to be bigger and things like that. So and so drawing this figure, it's a lot like figure drawing, but what we can do to help us out is use a tool so that to make it a little easier. So Garth, one of the things he does is he uses a little turntable, right? Yeah. With the centers and these sort of radial lines, so that we can decide where are the feet, you know, sitting on this elliptical turntable here. So what we could do is, for her, since she's fairly round, we could put her inside a similar size cylinder, right? And so what you've been doing here is finding, because one of the ways of doing character rotations, like what Garth was doing here, the purple lines. Some people have pages with guidelines written right across, right? And so marking out those important changes in the body, like the shoulder line. You've been taking some life drawing, right?
Yeah.
Where's the shoulder line? What's the tilt of the perspective of the shoulders, or the pose if there's a shift, right? So we're going to mark head. In this case, this guy is hunched over, so his head's there. But we would mark all those important lines across. So the head, the shoulders, the waist, his buttocks there. He doesn't really have knees, but the knees would be, one, and obviously the feet, right? And so one way you can keep things in line is to have these horizontal guidelines, and then your figure sits in here as you go through your rotations, right? So that's an easy way to keep things lined up. So and if he had knees, he sort of does. It's the bow in his legs, right? And you might want to know, well, where's the ellipse in his elbow, right? So any of these are really important marks. You can drag across, and then you can map out your figure within that, right? So one of the lines here is the center of the ellipse here, right? This is the major axis of the ellipse. Were you following any of my videos on object drawing yet?
Oh, no.
No, I think I suggested them to you, but you haven't drawn them.
No.
So that you can learn how to draw cylinders and ellipses well, and how to end up with this cross that he has in here. So in the illustration program at Sheridan, we actually had a 14-week course just on object drawing. Cubes, cylinders on the side, how do you draw, like if you want to draw a car well, for example, you have to understand how the cylinder on the side, how the axle, what's the relationship between the axle, and when you take the ellipse, turn it on an angle, how does that work? Like you'd think it would just be that, but it's not.
Oh, yeah, right.
I don't know if you've ever looked carefully at car wheels, but the major axis, when you turn a circle on a vertical plane, it's actually on an angle. The widest point is on an angle, and it has a relationship to how much you turn the object compared to, like, what's its perspective tilt. So all these things affect character depending on the shape of the character, right? And today there's like so many different kinds of shapes of characters, right? So now she's very humanoid, this one, but she still sort of fits inside a cylinder. So that's one reason why it's good to learn how to draw basic geometry well. And what we can do here to help us be able to draw that well from observation, and it gives us some guidelines. So this is one little trick you could do. So what you've done here is you've mapped out looking right straight on, because when we do character design, it's a frontal view, right? Like we're not looking down or up. And you've marked the important lines, right? And anything that you're going to make line up. Now, what I would probably do if I was doing this, I might use different colors to say what's my major lines, or I might start with my major lines first, set that up, and then find the minor lines. So our first thing is to get our cylinder, and then we're going to have the figure front view, and we'll do it the same way side view. And we'll be able to have some of these marks to help us keep her in perspective. So this is where if you had done a little bit of prior learning with the cylinder, it would have helped. But the other thing we can do is let's look at what if we put that crosshairs on our cylinder as well. So I have the center. So this will help find the tilt of the feet, right? So if she was a standing figure that had, right, what do we got? Look at this view here. I went to thrift store. So I thought, how Garth was teaching us that the hero often tends to look the most human. Yeah. And usually pretty muscular or very beautiful or something, right? So I found a sort of normal looking dude here that's movable, right? So we can use him for animation. Unfortunately, you can't tilt his feet, but you can tilt his legs. So he's pretty good, pretty decent action figure because he's quite movable, right? Yeah. So toys like this are great because we can move them around and make them take poses so that, you see, I could plan out where is he, where is his feet going to be, so that you can see what Garth is doing. He has the X and then minor and the 45-degree as well. So you can kind of plan out what's the stance and the perspective of how the character's standing, right? So I love using clear packaging to help figure out how to draw. So this dude, we could put him inside here and say, what's he going to do? Looks a bit like Indiana Jones or a cowboy, I don't know. Anyway, does a bit. He might be, So if we put him in there, and we can decide where we want his feet on that cross, and we can actually observe this, right? So I like this guy because we can move him and we can see where he's standing on there and get him to be balanced and all of that, right? He'll be laying down. He's not. None of these things are perfect, right? Gotta get him to stand up. And then what is he gonna do? What do you want to have him do? Is he clobbering somebody? What is he doing? Is he gonna be? Can't have him choke.
Yeah.
Sam's not go close enough for choking. What do you want to have him do?
I don't know, anything, like maybe just waving or like, yeah.
Is it a wave? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna fit him inside here, get him on the center there. And so now you see how we put different guidelines for this guy, but we can see where his feet are compared to the cross, right? And then we can have the guidelines of hips. And so with the dry erase markers, you just rub it off, and and you can plan things out, and where's his head and where's his arms. And this way, anytime you tilt him, we can see where he is, right? And really be able to observe the drawing. And you can put him in any pose that you want. Yeah. So what I like about this too is that if you just start a collection of action figures, you go to thrift stores, you'll be asking for toys again for Christmas. And action figures. Yeah. So, although I don't know, you probably don't celebrate Christmas.
But still, like, I need them now, so.
Anyway, sorry about that cultural blip there. But, so this guy's pretty good. He can tilt his hips. He's great. So now he's a cowboy. But this is great because now we can put him into different figure poses. Also, those little wooden maquettes that you can buy in art stores where you can move them in different poses.
Oh yeah, I have one. Yeah, I have one. Yeah.
So I mean, they're typical proportion, so it doesn't always work for animation, right? So that's why buying different action figures are really useful. Putting them either in a cylinder or in a cube, kind of clear package that you could find. So now you don't have to throw away your clear packaging anymore. You've got a really neat use for it. At least when you're learning, right? So that until we get to know how things look, these little tools can help us. So that if you're taking your time to learn before like you're going to take a year to build your skills for your portfolio, these are great tricks so that you can do what Garth does like that, because you're going to look so that, we can put him in here and we have that guide. And we can make him take different poses and stuff. Might need a little bit of something to stick his feet down to help him stand up. Not all characters are designed for perfect balance. So we're gonna come back to her because she's what you've been mostly working on. This is and I'm sorry, I'll erase some of your lines. So you can also use permanent marker, and then you just erase it with rubbing alcohol.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
so with her, what we're gonna do, we're gonna keep her at eye level. You're gonna draw her front view, right? And I think what we should do is probably mark where you want major information, maybe with a bit of red or something, right? Like the shoulder, elbow. This is going to be important for. Is this the shoulder? Or is this?
One below.
This one? Yeah. So we could mark that so that you know the important ones for her, right? And so what we want to do is get those proportions, which is just like life drawing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I would do, if I want to start with her, so if let's say these were her marks, which not, but anyway, let's see. So I need to move Garth's character and look at yours. Okay, I got that. I'm gonna hang this guy here. Maybe do his character. I wonder if I could stick him up with a magnet. Hey, dude. Should have to put a string on him so I can hang him up by his
Yeah,
head.
that would be.
That would be good. Let's get some tape. I'm gonna hang him up.
Oh, yeah, take.
So this line here is gonna be our dude. Big. All right. So. So you've got your cylinder, and so, you know, or you can find a character that's similar. So looking at toys can be really helpful to do this. Let me get your proportions, right? So what you're gonna do there is you're gonna look for the proportions of, you know, waist to skirt, feet, elbows. So just like you would when you're sight measuring in figure class, right? How big is the head? So with this line, I got 1, 2, 3. So there's 2 heads for his body, and 4, about 5 heads tall, right? So we want to start mapping out this fellow, right? And so that's like the front flat view. Now these things aren't completely flat views though. They do have perspective, right? So it's not like what an architect would do when they're drawing what we call an elevation. It's a completely flat view. So we want to have, that's why it's put on that turntable, right? So let's have a look at her. If we want to look at her in perspective inside this tube, so we first want to get the perspective of this tube sitting in front of you. So let's have a look at how we do that. And then we'll come back to our lion guy here. All right, so I'm going to put that, you're going to put it in front of you, relatively in front, and see how that looks. So I'm looking at it, and I can see, so it's right in front of me. Got a horizontal guideline that goes through the middle here, and put one of these little crosshairs right down the middle, just like he had, right? So, and you want to try to get your proportion looking good, right? So how tall is this container? So it's twice as tall as it is wide, okay? So we get 1. Make sure it's the same. 2. Right? So we want to get proportions. So this is a bit like some of the stuff you did in the study guide, right? And then we want to draw the ellipses that we see. And I'm trying to keep the middle of the object at my eye level. So this part looks horizontal, this ellipse, and then I can see the bottom of this one, and I can see out through this one. So I want to get a look to see what's the shape of that top ellipse. So this is a little bit of object drawing here, right? Put that ellipse in there. Here's our center line, right? And the bottom ellipse, how round is that bottom ellipse? Looks about like that. I'm going to put some other color in here to help us. Oops. So with the ellipses, each quadrant should look equal. Wow, it's always hard drawing on a board. So we want horizontal axis, and each quadrant should look exactly the same. And so what we can do, and one of the things, if you want to learn more about how to draw objects well, there is a series of videos that teaches you how to do it accurately. But we can kind of check the proportion from the front edge to the back edge compared to its width. So we can get a nice in there. So this is the front edge, that's the back edge.
Mm-hmm.
This is the front edge, and that's the back edge. I'm gonna just put a little dotted line in behind there. Okay. So, and then we can see these cross through here. So now we have Garth's turntable on the bottom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if her feet are turned, we're gonna be able to plan where are her feet compared to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, which is, unfortunately, she's like a solid figure and on the ground. So this kind of tube works better with characters with real feet. So, but anyway, it still will give you that idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the center line. So let's see, we have the shoulder line. So this was her shoulder, that was her elbow, right? Mm-hmm. So in what proportions? Remember we were learning in the Drawing to Success study guide that like whether you're drawing that with a little girl upside down or whether you were looking at how to draw a leaf step by step, we're looking for proportions, right? Or if you're drawing a figure in figure class. So what proportion, if this is halfway, what proportion is her shoulder line? It's like about a third. And this is the top there, so break that into thirds. And so we have the lips sitting through here. It gets squishier, and then there's an ellipse for the elbow, and it gets even flatter, right? Because this is our level. You're going to set this up, and we can put this box up a little higher so that the logo here is right down the middle of your eyes. Mm-hmm. So the ellipse, you can't see it at all there. This line here, when you look from front to back, should disappear. It's just a straight line, so we don't see it. So this is kind of cool that we're getting an object drawing lesson and perspective lesson at the same time as drawing the figure, and that's what will help you keep that 3D quality of being able to imagine that you could see right through. Like when Garth was drawing those ellipses, do you see how that starts to relate to what we're doing? So that's why little tricks like this, or even looking at that cool light bulb, right? Imagine that that's a figure. That could be Mike Wazowski there. Yeah. Puts my balls on him, right? Have you seen that? Yeah. So we can use things like this to make it easier, learn how to draw really well. Why make it difficult? Guess, because we know when we try to guess, we don't draw well. So that's why animators have to have so much training. And so each time there's a major axis through that ellipse that's horizontal every time, right? So what other important lines do we have on this character? So we might want to map out which are the most important lines. Like right now I'm just sort of making them even, but we should find out, like if I was doing this guy, I want to know, and if he was really tubular, like she's quite cylindrical, right? Yeah. This character. But some of them are more, it would be better to draw a little perspective, like if we're doing, I don't know, SpongeBob. Yes. Right? We're going to draw a perspective box for him, not, inside a tube like that, right? This guy's a little more flat too. So, but, okay, so you'd find those important places, like, his hip, where's his arm, where's his nose. We want to know where all those important lines are. So that's what you're going to do with this girl, this old lady. And you see how it gets more round. So the bottom of her dress is going to be more round than up near her waist, right? So that, because you want her to be a real 3D character sitting there, right? So we put her inside there, and we start with a front view. But what you might want to do, just because we're kind of tighter on time, front view is not that hard, right? The views that are more challenging are those 3/4 views. They're harder to figure out, right? So maybe we should use our time best by let's observe her at the 3/4 view front and 3/4 view back, because those are the ones that are harder to see. Obviously, if you had more time and if you could do that. And so what we want to do is start, and then we know her head's just a slight bit taller, so her head's going to poke out just a little bit, right? And we want to make sure that she's poking out at the center up above, right? So you'll have to see how that looks when we get her sitting on your eye level. So her center is going to be on your eye level. So we're going to prop this box up so you can see that. And that's fairly typical way of looking at characters, right? As if they're right in front of us, so that their center is on our eye level. It's quite common, not necessarily. You might be looking down on it a little bit too. But I think that'll help get the point of how to do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So that we can get that 3D feel. Okay. Because otherwise it's hard to see what lines up. If you're looking down on it, it's harder to understand that. So that's why we're going to do it that way. And so now I have to start mapping her out inside there. So let's say we want to do that, and she's turned on an angle. Well, I'm going to want to find, if this is her shoulder line, again, what angle is her shoulder? Which shoulder is coming towards me, and how much is she turned? So we're going to want to be able to see her face. And so this would take a little bit to do. Like, you could probably take the whole class just drawing like the front 3/4 view. So we say, okay, where's her shoulder? And what angle is that on? And we're going to have it move. So through the front, let's say her shoulder's about in here, and her shoulder tells us that. So let's change to a different color to map out the figure. So her shoulder, I'm going to look, oh, her shoulder's there. It's on an angle. And then I'm going to look, see, okay, where's her, her head is sitting on an angle. What's the center of her face, right? So I need, right, and we're going to do some of that sort of searching kind of stuff. Oval for the face, curve with the eyes, circle for the head, right? And then we can start to see, oh, she's got this shape, of a triangular shape on her head. So we can start mapping out some of this, and then where do those shoulders lay, right? And then you're going to want to, so it's similar to when we're looking, so her elbow's going to touch out to the side here, right on that ring that her elbow's touching, right? There's her hand. I haven't mapped out all my spots yet. So it's a bit like life drawing, right?
Yeah.
That's the angle of the arm. Do you start to see how it fits, right? So you can see why there's all that training. Where's the other one? Where other elbow came into the body, right? And it's really foreshortened. So, and then for her too, I think the line like you have here, right? This jut out the line of the breast coming across. Where's that, and what angle is that on? It's inside the figure more. So you could even start to find inside here little ovals to find her body. Just so you sort of see how we can start mapping that out. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. And for her, she's on a pedestal, so we're going to put that pedestal within, and then look to see, okay, what's the slope, and then where would the center of that base be, right? Mm-hmm. So, what angle are her feet on? Okay, well, her feet are on an angle like that, and then what slope are those feet coming out at? Kind of like that, right? And then we can get the circle of her skirt. There's her waist. That's her breast, and then her waist right there. Just get this lump. And then her skirt. See, I'm starting to find her shape. And so then as I take her into the next position, then, you know, I can be able to keep these points relating. Yeah, right. So it's just an observational way to train yourself to understand how do I rotate a figure? How would it look? Yeah. Because it's hard to guess. Yeah. So that's why little things like this, and so that go get a bunch of toys, so that you can, you know, draw these in different angles. And whether you use a little cylinder or a box or not, I think that they're handy tools at first. But even if you just set them up and look. Yeah. Oh yeah. Then I can see it. Yeah, that's how that looks like, right? So you can really see how does it look at these different angles. I love that this guy's so movable. Yeah, right. I'm gonna borrow some of these guys. You know, you could if you want. If you want to take some of these home on the weekend and draw, feel free. Okay, so let's get you looking at her. Let's get her up a little bit higher, I think, Rick. So what can we use to prop that up a bit more? How much more height do you need to get her up
I might
so her center's at
just
eye
put my
level?
sketchbook in there and see if it works.
It needs to be about like that, right? So I'm looking for about
yeah,
6 inches.
That might.
Let me see. I'm sure I can find something that's about the right thickness. We need like 4 to 6 inches more.
This one.
Yeah, let's put this underneath.
Or let's see.
Because you're gonna want your sketchbooks, right?
Oh yeah. Right.
Is that about the right height for you?
And
what
yeah, right.
And I think to really show the pose, it'd be good to look at her like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that 3/4 for you?
Yep, exactly.
All right.
It's perfect.
Yeah, and then so a 3/4 front and a 3/4 back view will really start to give you a real sense of this. And then, you know, when you come back to your character here, if you decide to do more work on her, it might be a little bit easier.
Yeah, true.
You know, because you've distorted the face a little, but not that much that even just, and so you can, you know, borrow the tube, borrow the lady, as long as I get this back, because the tube belongs to necessary artists, and they're going to want their tube back. I should just buy the light from her so I can have the tube. I don't want the light inside, I just want the plastic tube. That's silly.
I just got a cube, like you told me before, and it had like small animals inside of it.
Oh,
this is the only thing I did, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't get characters. I didn't think about that, but it's a
Yeah.
good idea.
So, like in this guy, what I would do with him is I would draw the box with observationally, and I have some great videos about how to draw a cube well in perspective from vision. And that was one of the workshops you missed over the break between the semesters, because a lot of students went away for the Christmas break, and so, but a few of us, we got together and we learned how to draw all those different shapes, because there's that one, if you want to apply to share it in any way, either illustration or animation, you have to draw the still life of all the basic geometric forms, and then sort of tell a story, something before and after, what happens to those shapes. So we were learning how to draw a cube in perspective and have it look, you know, really accurate. So what's great about that now is that I could use that as a perspective box to understand how my character rotates as well. Now, ideally, you want a box that exactly fits the character.
Yeah.
They touch, but it's hard to have everything. But he's kind of close, so that it gives us some guidelines sometimes to help see it. But at least having a figure to look at and turn, right, and pose. So now you have new things to collect.
Yeah, great.
So, yeah, I was telling my husband that I gotta go toy shopping. It's fun. All right, let's help you start to set up first the proportion of the tube so that she fits inside it properly, right? And maybe we'll take her out.
And then just put that, which is
so that for this to work and end up looking like her, we need to have the proportion of that tube, right?
So this is.
Now, does it look that round to you? Let me see here. Let's have fun drawing there. Crazy looking lion there. All right, so what we got here? I really wonder if the cylinder's correct.
Oh yeah, I think one of them is not. I think the.
Can I sit where you're sitting?
Sure.
Just to, yeah. See, that's the trouble of drawing. We draw ideas instead of what we see.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and it depends exactly how much you were sitting up versus really down. So if I'm just sitting where she's in front of me and I'm not hunched down, I don't see this much here. And this is more round down here. So, and so what you're going to have to decide is have a look at that, because it's going to affect where her shoulders and elbows and all of that is. So, and just for you, you know, as you're learning, so it's not that deep here. So down below, we see more of it, and it's rounder. So I'm just going to take her out for a second. About a third. So about a third of the width is how deep the base looks. So that's pretty close, I'd say. Yeah, you did a great job there, but you've squished your lips a little bit. It needs to be more rounded. And if you look at this and this, does this look the same as
no, not at all.
Okay, so it might be slightly rounded, but it's more just the shape of your lips. So you might want to go and look up my YouTube channel. There is a free video, how to draw a balanced lips. But it was weird that we had to spend in illustration, we had to spend quite a bit of time just helping people be able to draw nice balanced ellipse. And that each quadrant should look equal, so that this one you tapered off a bit and it was a bit too pointed, yeah. So it's a little bit more round. There's actually like a little circle that fits here, yeah, that's true. And here. Mm-hmm. And then there's an arc there and here that are the same size. And everything, each quadrant should look exactly the same size and shape. So ellipses are perfect shapes. Because a circle is a perfect shape, right? So it makes sense that a circle viewed on an angle is going to be a perfect shape too. So a little more round. And then this one is way more foreshortened than what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. Unless you were down like this, then that would be accurate. But were you? I don't think hunched so. That much? Yeah. I don't think you were. So you might want to pay attention when you're sitting and drawing. How are you really sitting it, and be conscious of that, so that even when you're doing life drawing in life drawing class too, like you need to be consistent in your body posture or your view keeps changing. So it's narrower, okay, and it needs to be equal. So I think even if you are slightly hunched down, it's much more foreshortened, okay? Still got to be rounded here. So there's never a point on an ellipse because it's a circle, right? Viewed on an angle. So one of the mistakes people make is they do that.
Oh,
And it's not possible because a circle can't have a corner, can it? So I think it needs to taper even more than that to be what you're seeing. Pretty squished. Okay, so that you're learning some at the same time. So, like if I sit like this, it's actually flat.
yeah, right.
So, anyway, but it'll help you to get that sense of depth to the character and this tilt of her shoulders. Okay, so stick her in, make sure she's in the middle, and then we know that her head pokes up beyond the halfway mark. Okay, so then you're going to pay attention to these important markers. I think your shoulder line isn't really quite on. I should adjust that. Dry erase is great, hey?
Yeah.
Very easy. So I think her shoulder line is a little higher. Right? Right there. Wow, that's challenging, isn't it?
Yeah.
To get, and then you gotta make sure we're drawing it straight. So this gives you a bit of a guideline, right? To kind of work with and keep that sense of perspective. Now, is there a tilt to her shoulders? Not much, although there should be.
Yeah.
There should be. It's not a perfect figure, but I guess we'll go with what you're seeing for now. Like what I think it was Garth said something about. Oh no, that was my drawing class. You're saying that you can make adjustments to what you're seeing to make it look good in your drawing.
Oh.
But I wouldn't do that till you can draw what you can see first.
Yeah.
Right? That's right. How are you going to adjust the human figure and have it look right? Good luck. Well, when you're first learning. Okay, so let's look for that. This elbow, that elbow, and do those elbows line up? No, this one's lower. This one's a bit higher. Right? So that you can start sort of mapping out where these are. And so here it helps to see the proportion. Do you see that? As soon as you see that green line compared as she sticks up above, how much about there, right? And then what proportion is the green compared to the overall, right? So you can use these other colors to help you see it more clearly if you need to. Where's her elbow? So and you can even figure out your proportions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she's short lady, right? So then you can map that out on your sketch here, right? So if we've got, so actually to the middle, it's about thirds almost, right? Plus a little bit extra for her head because she has a big head, which is good because your character has a big head too. So we go, okay, so there's middle. Let's break it into thirds. Let's get that ellipse in. And so that, and it's cool that you can see that, oh, I can still see a little bit of roundness to that green ellipse where her shoulders should lay, right? And we have to pivot her, right? So she's gonna be a 3/4 view. Okay, so you can see how, and it's neat, when you sit down here, you're gonna be able to see that, how, oh, look at that, there's nice, I can see that green line. And I can see how round that ellipse is. And start to see down a bit. This definitely has to squish more. And try to keep everything even here. And this is so cool. I can see her one shoulder is, and then you think, where's center? Okay, where's her shoulder? Kind of and then across her other shoulder. It's just tucked in behind there. And it's lining up with that green line back there. So you can look for that and put her where you can see both shoulders, just so that you can get that sense of perspective going through the center there. So, and then in a bit, right? Because her shoulders aren't as wide as this. So they're in. And then her neck's coming up through there. And then you can start to find what's the tilt of her head. And then her elbow does touch, almost touch the outside. And so where's that green line? So you could draw that green line in. So that's at another third. So once you actually get that drawn in, try to make sure when you draw it, it's fairly straight on the actual object. So make it a little rounder each time you go down. And you'll see where that elbow touches. And you can kind of compare from the outside edge to where you see her elbow compared to center. So it starts to relate to, and that's one reason why in the study guide that you use to learn how to draw, just your basic drawing skills, that I can see, okay, here's the outside edge. It's sort of, this becomes like that outside edge of the rectangle you're using. Where's the center of her body? That sort of goes right through here, and it goes through the middle of her body. I can see it on her walking stick, and right through her nose there. That seems to be the center. From here right to there. So, and where's her elbow from the outside edge? From there to the center. So that's like one. It's about a third, a little bit more than a third. So if I go for your center, break it into thirds. It's a little bit like when learning how to draw the leaf too. Do you remember that? A little bit past. It's sort of between a quarter and a third. And then join that up. And oh wow, that's similar to that angle of her shoulders. You know? So I'm gonna let you continue with that, okay? Does that start to make sense?
Yeah, a lot.
So so now it's the observation, all that drawing training you've been doing, the 2D sort of drawing comes together with the 3D. Even if it helps you, pick your spot to stay. Find that, you know, when we were doing in life drawing, you put up the pencil, right? Where's your center line? You could actually draw your center line, right? And then hopefully, close. It's from here, that center. And so do you see how that becomes like that rectangle you were using in the study guide? And now you can map out where she sits. And so the more you do things like this early, like on now, the more you're going to be able to, you know, draw your characters so they look right. And it's going to get easy, and you're going to be able to be so fast and awesome like Garth, right? That he can just do it, and it looks great. But you know, he's had 4 years of animation, and then he had 1 year of art fundamentals. He took art all the way through high school. He had one of those, you know, awesome art students in high school, right? He and I went to teach a workshop in with his art teacher. It's still at his high school here. So sit down and keep drawing now that you kind of do that. So you need a little bit of erasing out here. This is much squishier. Right? You need a real eraser. Let's help you out with that. So we got here. Got a bit of eraser.
Oh, thank you.
Shave this down. And the perspective of your character is going to make sense inside there, okay? So, you know, eventually this kind of stuff it's almost like it's in our head and we see it. It's superimposed on anything we see in front of us or in our imagination. And that's why years of training, help. And it becomes second nature eventually, right? So you can just draw fast and blossom like you see Gareth doing. Here.
Oh, thank you.
This one to help mark where things are, okay? Because it really helps you visualize it.
Yeah.
Like if you want to see where that elbow is to compare to the other elbow, carefully draw a straight green line and make sure and if you draw all the way around, you'll see it.
I can tell there's an angle though, but
yeah, draw it. Yeah, let's get it in there, and you start to see it. It's amazing. I'm going straight. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll find out if I line up or not.
So close.
A little bit crooked. Well, I did do pottery for a while, so I had some practice with things like this. Yeah, when I was teaching at Sheridan, I was teaching in craft and design, and I got the pottery bug yesterday. So let's get her back to where she was. What's the angle? It's that her angle or no?
Yeah.
Yep,
I think so. Yeah.
Does she look like it's on halfway?
A little.
Just a bit.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So then do you see the relationship now?
Yes,
and you can actually see the shape of that ellipse there.
Yep. This one.
Yeah. So draw what you see
here.
there. How foreshortened is it?
Really small. It's barely.
Yeah, you just see
so
a little bit. Yeah, good.
This one's two thirds.
Building ceiling.
Hello? Hey! How are you? Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Mom, Karen. This is the artist. Oh, hi there.
We're drawing.
My mom. She just made the What are you working on?
Oh, nice. We're learning about
Oh.
character animation, and
Hey, how's it going?
yeah, we're rotating characters. So she's put her character inside the tube so that she can do that. Yeah, that's okay. So, yeah, and I have my little crazy little guy. So now, I'm just looking at him to help me understand how would I rotate this type of a character. So let's look at him front on. What does he look like when he's front on? What does he look like 3/4? That. Side view. I need 3/4 back. Back view. So it's what I'm drawing. All right. It's not 3/4 is tricky. In the way. It was awkward, eh, guys? So, oh wow. I do a lot of filming on my Nikon, but you know the problem with that is I have to edit it, and I've got like tons and tons and tons of footage that I haven't edited. So now I have these sloppy videos that I'm making on the fly, right with my webcam. It's kind of crazy, but at least you get it right away instead of having to wait for a whole year for me to get my footage to edit. It's intense trying to get it all done. So, okay, let's see what we're doing here. So I look at this guy, turn in 3/4 view. So let's see here. So I'm just drawing the circles. And I get a sense of his body posture too. So you gotta do a bit of that searching, finding stuff that I talk about all the time. Just gonna map that out a bit. So find that median line, find the shape of his body. I'm just looking for, shapes. Well, there's a good video on that, how to draw a rabbit. It shows you how to look for the shapes in objects and animals. And character design is good to look in that way too, is looking for the shapes, whether it's triangles. Garth was teaching me a bit about that yesterday. Squares, triangles, ovals. I like to look for the overlapping ovals. Look for sort of triangular shapes. How's that foot angled towards me? I've got to look for that perspective, right? So the front foot is forward. It's kind of oblong shape. And then the perspective. So where's he sitting on that turntable? The center point's right there. An angle like that. There's the center line. Oops, I turned it a bit. There's this one foot, and then perspective, the other foot. Triangular kind of foot. Noticing the angle of the shoulders here. Right, so that'll land on the same shoulder line now. So I'm on that blue line. Let's see, did I keep my hip line? Yes, because if I look, that's perspective. What else we got here? Foot line worked, yep. And yeah, these eyeballs have to line up. And the nose, I also made a mistake on the nose. Gotta fix that. So the hand comes down here. It's kind of looping towards me. The other hand's still gotta line up. But it's going back in space. I gotta make sure I get that angle there. Watch that. Oh, a mistake there. So that face. Nose from there. Wow, I didn't make that wrong the first time. How's it going there? Trying to figure that out. Okay, so let's not get that too steep, right? Right, so that if you drew it on the first one, right, the square's a lot more squishy, right? So that, because the idea, our idea gets in the way here, and you've got almost 90 because that's what we know it is.
Yeah.
That same thing keeps getting up there, right? So we gotta tilt that more slowly, because, right? So that you could start to find, well, where are her feet compared to this angle? Where are her feet sitting, right? Okay. Good, she's mapping out where she is. And so now that you've sort of found some of that, maybe find a little bit the structure of her head, and you're going to be able to, you know, find an edge in there, right?
Yeah.
They start to draw her now.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing here, can you see past this?
Yeah.
So I went I went straight to my 3/4 view because that's just more challenging. Like, yeah, I think you should do front view, side view.
Yeah.
But just because 3/4, one of the things we're looking at, that, so I got him here, I drag my lines across, right? Or trace out like what Gareth was showing you with your turntable. Now I'm aware that my center line, so I'm gonna get the red edge so you can see the center line. So my crosshairs would be right there, right? Where's his foot, right? And where's that center, right, that he's sitting on there? So that's his center line there. And so as I drag those blue major lines across, and then I just turned this guy and looked at him, right? What's that angle? And so I try to line up there, and I just start searching, finding, right? I'm just trying to map them out. And so you can see some of the green line stuff I was doing, trying to find my way through, where is this dude? And I have to keep perspective in mind. So some of the stuff I was looking at here, like first I was like, okay, let's find his head. I have to adjust that because that's not right. What's the median line, like the center of his body? If I was really doing a character, I probably wouldn't draw him so poker straight like that, right?
Yeah.
I'd probably want to like punch him over more or make him kind of sloppy or something, right? But I'm aiming by drawing this little fellow here. So just get him on that 3/4 view. And so, and I start looking for the shapes. So, oh, we did a life drawing exercise on this once, didn't we? Looking for the circles and the ovals. Remember that? So looking, where is his body shape? And looking, okay, his hips are supposed to line up through here, right? Do you see this perspective line here?
Yeah.
Because this hip is closer to me and looks higher up, and this hip is back. So so this center ends up about here, right? That's probably my daughter. So the hip ends up slightly higher here and slightly lower there, but on the center line of the perspective, it works out, right? So I'm gonna have to get that. That's the trouble of teaching at night when you have kids. So what I've done there, you know, I'm looking for this big oval here, and then this long oval of his leg, right? And I'm gonna find the other one back behind there. I really wanted to find the feet. Where are the feet? So there's the center, and then so I'm looking at that, and I'm saying, okay, what's the center line of the feet? So you see these green lines here that I drew first. What angle do I see the center of the foot coming out? You know, what's generally the shape of his foot? So this big teardrop shape, right? And then do you see these green guidelines too? I'm trying to find a perspective here, right? So that all of these are going to go to a vanishing point over there. And then, you know, and this should be going there. All of these perspective lines
Mind you, this guy's got crooked hips, so that would be why that didn't work out. I was wondering, wow, is it sloppy? Because his hips, it's crooked. Okay, so, and then I'm looking at, okay, where's his arm? I get this shape like this. I see that there's an overlap of his arm on top of his body. And then I get, okay, one arm's lower than the other. And do you see how I brought that line across? I went to see, where is that hand? Oh, I gotta get it up a bit higher. And then where's this hand? You see that green line coming across?
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked for the negative space there, that triangle I see here. I looked to see what's the shape of his hand, draw it in, right? That's erasing. So, and then as I look there, I start to see, oh, I misjudged the head. The head is a lot bigger, right? And I had him a bit short. So I want to say, okay, where's that head? Get him the same angle. I can see overall shape of his head, his poof of his mane, right? And then I gotta look, what's the shape? So I'm just drawing these ovals. And then I got hands in the same place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I might want to find where's the median line. I need a different color. This is not working out. It's one of the trouble with dry erase.
Yeah.
When you draw over what you already have, you just erase what you had. So I find, okay, let's get them lined up in the right angle. And then I'm looking, where's that median line, right? Around, down his tummy. It's going to give me that shape, right? You see how you start to build that up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're always conscious, where's his eyes? It's got this eye's bigger, this one's all foreshortened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these go to a perspective point too, right? So these are the sorts of things that you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
So now, let's see. So, hey Julia,
Yeah,
how long are you gonna be here for?
just over my
Just
time.
popping in. Would you work for a bit? You're welcome to. I gotta go get my dog.
Oh yeah, right. It's kind of late now, so I might go home. So